for a foundation review that I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's a side-by-side comparison and first impressions review on two really popular foundations. One of them is the Estée Lauder Double Wear long-lasting makeup, and the other one is the Lancôme Teint Idole Ultra 24-hour wear foundation. They are really popular and really similar in their claims, but I haven't seen a side-by-side comparison review of the two. So I thought I would do it. I will apply one of the foundations on one side of my face and the other one on the other side, and go by my day and come back and update you on what I think and how the two foundations compare to each other. I just thought I would tell you about my skin type and show you the state of my skin right now, so that you know on what kind of base I'm testing these foundations. So I have pretty normal skin, but I tend to get oily in my T-zone during the day, especially when I wear makeup. Not so much like when I don't wear makeup. It's really strange, but mostly normal, but I get oily in my T-zone, and that's why I wanted to try these foundations, just to see if they break up on my nose area, where usually foundations tend to break up during the day. But yeah, as you can see, I have this situation going on right here. It was a zit that I popped, so now it's a really dry, scrapey area. On this side I have like 3 scars from previous zits, and I think I have 1 or 2 on this side too. But yeah, I don't get zits often. When I get them, they get pretty big, and I'm too dumb to not try to like do something about it, and then I get scars. That's what my skin looks like right now, and the state it's in, and what skin type I have. So it's normal to combination, I would say, because I get oily in my T-zone. The reason why I'm doing this foundation review is because I myself have thought about buying one of these two foundations. Both of them have won like beauty awards here in Sweden, and because they are pretty similar or really similar in their claims and up there in price, I asked for testers just to be able to compare these two for me, and I thought I would film it because I think I'm not the only one that has thought about buying one of these foundations and want to know the difference between them. So the Lancôme Teint Idole Ultra 24-hour long wear foundation is $47 US, and at Kicks in Sweden, where most of us I think shop our makeup, it's 455 Swedish crowns. The Estée Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place makeup is $39.50 US and costs 445 Swedish crowns at Kicks. I think it's interesting that the Lancôme foundation is so much more expensive in US dollars, but it's only 10 Swedish crowns difference here in Sweden. I don't know why that is. They both come in a frosted glass bottle, and both contain 1 fluid ounce. The Lancôme foundation has an SPF of 15. By the Laura Mercier foundation, I'm confused with the SPF, because on some sides it doesn't say that it has any SPF, and on other sides it says it has an SPF of 10. So not really sure about that. The Lancôme comes in 40 shades in America. In Sweden we have 16 shades of those 40 at Kicks. And the Laura Mercier has 38 shades, and we have 12 of the shades at Kicks in Sweden. I think both of them has an impressive shade range, because they go from really pale to really dark, and it's not often that a lot of foundations have these many shades. So 40 and 38 shades I think is thumbs up, very impressive. I'm not going to read what both foundations claim, because it's a long list on each of them, but they have some really similar claims that I thought I would tell you about. So they both claim they're long wearing, 24-hour wear. They have a matte finish and a medium to full coverage that feels comfortable. That's basically what both sides say, even if the list goes on and on and on. I'm not going to be able to try these foundations for 24 hours, but I will be trying them for like 6 hours, and I think it will give me a pretty nice picture of how they wear and how they compare to each other. So let's just jump in and try them on. I'm going to apply both of them with a damp beauty blender. Also, I'm not going to use any primer, because I feel like then I can't tell if a pore minimizing thing or something like that is because of the primer or because of the foundation. So I'm going to give them a fair try on my bare skin. I just have my moisturizer on and some eye cream, and yeah, just see how they perform on their own, and if it's only a problem with like pores showing, then you know to maybe try a pore minimizing primer when you use the foundation. I'm going to start with the Lancôme foundation, and I don't remember exactly what shade I took, and I'm going to apply the Lancôme one on this side of my face, and then I'm going to do the Estée Lauder one on the other side. So I'm just going to take this tester little container. I think this looks pretty dark, but we'll see on my skin. And I'm just going to scoop out a little bit with this little spatula. And I'm going to take like one of these scoops and just smear it on my face. And I'm just going to start bouncing it in with my beauty blender. So that's a really light layer. I'm going to go in with one second layer just because I feel like I took a little bit too little, but you never know beforehand, so I think it's better to gradually pump up the coverage instead of going in with too much. I think the shade is a little bit too pink for me right now. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it's not like too dark or anything, it's just a little bit pink. But I'm going to go in with a second scoop with the spatula and bounce it in with the beauty blender. So this is the Lancôme foundation applied in 2 thin layers on this side of my face. And I feel that it applied beautifully. I feel like it built beautifully, like it didn't get crunchy or anything with a second layer. As I said before, I feel like the shade is a little bit pink. I don't know if you can tell, but I feel like this side of my face that's bare is a little bit more yellow than this side. I feel like it has oxidized a little bit. Like I've heard people before say that the Lancôme Teint Idole has oxidized on them. Now it hasn't been a lot of time, so maybe it will get even darker. I think it still looks like skin. I don't think that it has enhanced my pores. I mean, I have pretty large pores here and around my nose, but I don't feel like the foundation has accentuated it. If you're wondering about the smell, it has a slight rosy scent, but it isn't anything that's overpowering because I'm pretty sensitive to scents, and I mean, it feels okay, but if you hate scents, then you probably won't like it, but I don't feel like it's that big of a problem. I just realized I maybe have been saying Laura Mercier instead of Estée Lauder, and I'm so sorry. Of course, I mean the Estée Lauder and Lancôme foundation. So if I haven't been saying Laura Mercier, I'm so sorry. Of course, I mean the Estée Lauder Double Wear. So I wanted to have it in the 2 and 1 shade, but it was totally like empty in the tester, so she gave me another shade and I have no idea what shade it is, but it's a lot more yellow than the Lancôme one. So I'm just going to scoop out with my little spatula, and I feel like this foundation is a lot thicker than the Lancôme one. And I'm just going to apply it on this side of my face, the Estée Lauder one, not Laura Mercier. And I just washed my beauty blender so that it hasn't got any residue from the Lancôme foundation, and I'm just going to bounce this one in the double wear on the left side on my face. So that is 1 thin layer, and as I did with the Lancôme one, I'm going to go in with 1 second layer. Estée Lauder foundation up close and personal on this side of my face. As you can see, it's a little bit too dark for me, but I could already tell before. I don't feel like it has oxidized. Maybe like a little bit, but not much, because it was already too dark for me to begin with. But if you're wondering about this scent, it has kind of a paint-like scent. So I think I prefer the scent on the Lancôme one that's a little bit rosy, even though I don't like rosy scents, just because I'll rather smell like a rose than like paint. But it isn't anything overpowering, like it isn't unbearable, it's just there when you apply it. So looking at them up close and side by side, I feel like the Estée Lauder foundation is a little bit more matte actually than the Lancôme one. I don't know if you can tell, but I feel like this side is a little bit more matte than this side because I can see a little bit of sheen. It's beautiful, but like I prefer the little bit more matte side, and then that I can add some glow by myself with some highlighter. But it looks really natural, and I liked how the Lancôme foundation applied more. I feel like it blended super beautifully when I went in with the second layer, and I felt like the Estée Lauder one got a little blotchy right here. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but just a tiny little bit, but I don't know if it was the way I held the beauty blender there or if it's something with the foundation or formula. But yeah, so as a first impression, I like how matte this is and the finish of it, but I like more how the Lancôme one built. But if I look into my forehead wrinkle, because I talk a lot with my eyebrows, so I don't know if you can tell, but I feel like on this Lancôme side the foundation has set a little bit more into my wrinkle than it has on the Estée Lauder side. I don't know if you can tell, but it has like, yeah, it just settled down in my wrinkle a little bit on the Lancôme side. But if you look here, around my pores, I don't think that any one of the foundations exaggerated my pores or enhanced them. They just look like they normally do, and I feel like my skin still looks like skin on both sides, which I really appreciate. And none of them has settled in weirdly around my nose, which tends to happen sometimes. Now I'm just going to apply the rest of my makeup as I usually do with the same products I usually use, and I'll be right back. It's actually been almost 2.5 hours since I first applied the foundations, so I'll guess I'll count this as my first check-in. Even though it has been 2.5 hours, I feel like both sides of my face and both foundations look great. While I was applying the rest of my makeup, I noticed two things. I should have mentioned in the beginning of this video that I have really sensitive skin. So even though it's normal to combination when it comes to my oils in my T-zone, I have really sensitive skin. So after a while still doing my makeup, I noticed on this side that I had some red areas. So it looked like red coming underneath the foundation from my skin, and they were itching a little bit. It doesn't show now because it has calmed down, but it didn't happen on this side, so I just have to draw the conclusion that it's because of the Lancôme foundation, and maybe because it's so fragranced with the rose scent I mentioned before. As I said, it's better now, but I still feel like it's itching a little bit on this side and not on this side. So, I mean, if you don't have sensitive skin, that will probably not be an issue at all. But for me that has really sensitive skin, I can notice it. So, it isn't bad and it like doesn't show or anything, but I thought it was really worth mentioning. The other thing is quite weird, I think, and it was, I felt like this side, the Estée Lauder side, when I applied powders, it applied more beautifully than it did on this side. I don't know if you can tell by the contour and stuff on this side. I feel like it's more blotchy on this side. Maybe it's just my imagination, but doing my makeup, I just felt powders just went on more smoothly on this side, and I felt like I didn't have to blend as much as on this side. So after 2.5 hours, the Estée Lauder side looks like this, and the Lancôme side looks like this. I think both sides still look beautiful, and as I said, it didn't exaggerate my pores or anything. I don't feel oily anywhere yet, and yeah, because all this is my highlights. That's everything I can say for now. I'm just going to run a few errands, spend some time with my mom, and I should vacuum my room. But yeah, I'll be back in a few hours. So I just went outside because I wanted my mom to tell me if she can tell a difference between both sides of my face. So she doesn't want to be on camera, but I'll just ask her. Ser du någon skillnad?
Ja, jag tycker den är bättre.
Okay, so she thinks this side is better. Förstå? Eller varför?
Jag vet inte, den smälter in bättre.
Alltså typ, menar du med detta och så?
Ja.
Är ena sidan glansigare? Det här är ju highlighter, men tycker du att ena sidan är glansigare typ runt näsan eller någonting?
kanske lite den
är glansigare. Ja. Thanks, Mom.
Huh?
Yeah, so she says that this side looks better to her just because the contour and stuff looks more blended, and that this side is maybe a bit more shiny. That's what I said when I applied the foundations, that I felt like this like Estée Lauder one was a little bit more matte. Interesting that she could actually tell a difference. Okay, so let's wrap this video up. It's been about 6 hours since I first applied the foundations, and I'm going to zoom you in a little bit so that you can see for yourself the different sides. So honestly, for 6 hours of wear, both sides look great. But I think early on I decided on what the winner is. But first I'm going to show you the both sides. So this side is the Estée Lauder Double Wear Foundation. And this is the Lancôme Teint Idole side. As I said, like, right off the bat by applying the foundations, I thought that this side, the Lancôme one, looked a little bit more shiny, but it's still a matte, I would say semi-matte foundation. The Estée Lauder side was more matte, I would say like a velvet matte, because it wasn't super dry or anything. So that's something I noticed directly, and that's something that has been consistent throughout the day. So the Lancôme side got shiny, because I always get shiny here around my nose and on my nose. That won't change, I think, with any foundation. But the Lancôme side got shiny around my nose quite a bit faster than the Estée Lauder side. And I also feel like this side, even though it's shiny, isn't as shiny as this side. I don't know if the light will catch it and if you can tell, but yeah. And to zoom in even more, you can see that you can still see my pores here on the Estée Lauder side, and you can still see my pores on the Lancôme side, I think even more here. And on my forehead, as I mentioned in the beginning, I feel like the Lancôme foundation got stuck and exaggerated my wrinkle here a bit more than the Estée Lauder one did. But all in all, both foundations are really good foundations. As you can probably tell, I have a winner, and it's the Estée Lauder Double Wear Foundation. I have never tried either one of these foundations before, so this is a true first impression review and comparison. And my mom, that didn't know which side was which, after about 3 hours when I filmed that part, she also thought that this side looked better. So right from the start, I actually thought I would like the Lancôme one better because it's thinner, it feels like more lightweight, and it layered up beautifully and still really looks like skin. It doesn't feel or look like you're wearing a lot of makeup. The Estée Lauder foundation definitely looks more makeup-y, but it isn't cakey or anything, at least not on me. I don't know how it will look if you have a lot of acne scars or stuff like that, but so even though it looks more makeup-y than this side, I like this side better, just because all my powders went on more evenly and I feel like they held up better on this side than on this side, where you can see my contour is a bit blotchy, and I just applied it as normal and it usually doesn't look like that. So for me personally, I wouldn't buy the Lancôme Teint Idole foundation just because I feel like I still got the amount of shine around my nose as I do with some cheaper alternatives, so I don't feel like it's worth the money. But if you want a medium buildable coverage that doesn't feel like makeup at all and still looks like skin, it's a really pretty foundation, and it is long wearing because it hasn't rubbed off anywhere even though I am shiny. I just touched my nose. The Estée Lauder foundation is a bit heavier. It feels a little bit tighter. Like if I do like this on this side, if I can't feel anything, but the Estée Lauder foundation, you can definitely feel that you have makeup. It held up beautifully. It took a lot longer for me to get shiny on my nose than I usually do with other foundations, and even though I have a bit of shine there, the foundation hasn't breaking up at all or separated or just rubbed off. If you have experience with either one of these foundations, please write down below in the comment section what your experiences are, what skin type you have, and maybe we can help each other out. And if you have tried both foundations, please let me know which one you like best and why. And yeah, I hope that this video has been helpful if you have been trying to decide which of these two to buy. And if you liked it, please don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can do it on @Dejana Pasic or @beautybydejana. So I hope you have a great evening, day or morning or whenever you're watching this video, and I hope to see you soon. Bye! Similar in the double wear, long lasting, what is it called? Go through, oh, I'm not going to read both sides. I'm not going to read what both foundation. Did I just accidentally started recording my tit? Okay. I feel like it hit the Laura Mercier foundation. Why am I saying Laura Mercier? Estée Lauder, Estée Lauder, Estée Lauder, Estée Lauder. I feel like the Estée Lauder. It's Laura Mercier. No, it is Estée Lauder. I can't get it right. Estée Lauder. Estée Lauder. Estée Lauder. Estée Lauder. Estée Lauder double wear. Estée Lauder double wear.